last year, middle of last year, that is when I felt it the most. Yes, I had to make decisions to change my life. But after that, you look back and the first thing you feel is failure. I've invested, and it's debatable how much I've invested, but I've invested a lot in my life from the time I was 20 to the time I was 34. And to look back, I mean, there's wonderful memories involved there. There's things I will treasure forever. Those years shaped who I am today. It gave me what I have today, and I have to appreciate that. But looking back at that, and at that point, leaving it all behind, you look back and you feel a sense of loss and failure. Like, what have I've not contributed enough. This is all going through your mind. I've not contributed enough. I wasn't enough. How could I have failed so epically? How could I have hurt another person so tremendously? And then change direction. How do I change direction when I've left behind pain in lives around me?
I mean, it's called growing pains for a reason. Like,
it's painful.
Growth is a painful process.
Yeah.
I think it's important though, to remember that, as much as you are sitting with these questions, those people are probably sitting with the same questions as well.
Yeah.
The pain of the event is not yours alone to carry. Both parties has contributed to this in one way or the other.
Yeah.
So as much as you are feeling or sitting with the thoughts of what has happened, they are doing the same thing. And not to say that that's a nice thing or it's all sunshine and roses, but that is part of the growth. Maybe both of you had to go through that experience to really dig deep and get the process started of you, because if you never started asking yourself those questions, you might have still been where you were. Not to say there was a bad space, but it's a space prior to growth, and if that experience didn't happen, maybe the growth would not have happened.
Exactly. You're also tempted to compare your growth with someone else's growth, especially if you walk a path together and that path diverges. It's easy to look and see, well, look, you're growing at this rate and I'm not. Is something wrong? Or I'm growing at whatever rate I'm growing, and it's true what you say, that it's not just my processing of it. There's another side to this as well. Are they processing my path as you further ahead than me? And there's guilt involved in that for sure. But it's growth is growth, I believe.
Growth is growth.
Yeah.
In my specific experiences, I've had really beautiful connections with people. I've had really, really beautiful connections. Connections that felt like home.
Okay.
It felt completely right.
Yeah.
I was always aware in the back of my mind of certain red flags, but because the current situation was so beautiful, I was like, the good far outweighs the bad or the potential bad. So there's no need for me to worry about that. Let's focus on the good, let's build on the good, and then everything will be fine. But at some point, all that shit does catch up to you. And if you haven't created a good space or allowed the space to actually confront those red flags when you sense them at the first moment, then it just explodes in a way which is not going to be cute, So in my experiences, I've had to look back at those type of relationships which were just beautiful and loving and nurturing and creating together, loving together, exploring together, learning together, and then all of a sudden it's gone. So it's just trying to understand, what is this? Why do I keep having these sort of relationships? And I realized that it's because I don't confront the bad. Like I've been taught or conditioned, or maybe I conditioned myself to just like look for the rosy parts in life, like if you focus on the good, just stay positive thinking,
Yes.
like then everything will be fine. No, life isn't all positive. Like there needs to be a balance. It's not like we need to deal with the rough sides of life. It's about the balance. The good needs the bad. If you don't have bad, you can't understand good, and vice versa. So for me, what those relationships and those experiences has taught me was that I was living a very unbalanced life, and I was kind of living in a dream world. I was in a constant state of euphoria, and it was almost like a childlike innocence.
Okay.
Like you're looking at everything with rose tinted glasses. And I just reached a point where I started seeing the value and the beauty in unfiltered conversation and unfiltered sharing.
Yeah.
Like you're doing a disservice to yourself and your friends or your lover or your family if you don't tackle those topics. That thing that makes you uncomfortable within a romantic relationship, like if you don't bring it up in the moment, that's not love. Actually, love means that you are actually going to address that thing because you want everything to be better. You want them to be better, you want you to be better, you want the relationship to be better, and you need to deal with it, and I wasn't doing that. And I think that's something that I want to take forward in my if I do decide to go into another relationship. That's something I want to take forward into it. Like if I meet someone from the get-go, yeah, this is who I am, and these are all the skeletons, like this is what you're dealing with.
Yes.
What are you dealing with? I want to know what you're dealing with. What's your mental health like right now?
Yeah.
Can we have that conversation? And maybe it's not super romantic to start things off like that, but I think it's also very healthy.
Yeah.
Because then we know what we're dealing with. Not to say that if you're now going to say like, oh, like this is what I'm dealing with, then I'm just actually no, I don't want to deal with it. It's more for me to know like, okay, we can have a better understanding of who we are, and if something does flare up, I might know where this is coming from your side, and that will give me the opportunity to have a better reaction to it as well.
I can definitely relate to that because I am known to avoid those conversations, those difficult conversations where you actually just sit and you speak truth.
Yeah.
And the catch-22 in that was that I didn't feel I could have those conversations because a conversation is a conversation, whether it is something small and meaningless or really heartfelt and cutting to the point. So if I can't have a small, meaningless, trivial conversation with someone, in my mind, I can't speak about anything serious with you because you won't take me serious in something light. How will you take me seriously in something more heavy? I wouldn't want to have that conversation. I think I've conditioned myself in such a way, unhealthily, to equate those two to each other. I could talk about something completely senseless to you, and because that doesn't strike you, I'll look at you and say, well, will you listen to me if I have a conversation that actually means something to me, that means something to us? And for a long time I didn't feel that. It wasn't something that would happen, but it was necessary. It was necessary for me to actually have those conversations that heal.
But do you think you were ready to have those conversations at that point?
It's easy for me to look back and say I could have been, but because I wasn't doing it, I don't think I was ready. Emotionally, I was not ready to have those conversations. I would withdraw. I would avoid them. I would shut down and go silent, which is that's not the approach. that's not how you do things. Not. But you mentioned red flags, and everything. I'm not sure if this is something that you see around you now, but everything is now a red flag. Every single thing. That is why I'm hesitant to get too close to someone.
But also the red flags, I think, has also changed for me in the sense that in the past, a red flag means danger, like no-go zone.
Yeah.
Like now, I understand that everyone has red flags. We all fucking got red flags, you know, like it's no one is not dealing with something, you know, so red flags is a given.
Yeah.
So for me, if I see the red flag, at least, obviously it depends on the person and the relationship and how you got to see that. But usually if someone is willing to show you they're ugly, it means that even though they haven't worked on it yet, at least it shows that they have knowledge of it, they are aware of it. And as long as there's awareness of something, there's potential to work on it, you know. If you're now going through life and I see your red flag, but you're completely oblivious to it, or you're almost like in denial of it, for me that's a red flag. You know. That's a maroon flag.
Red flags are easy to deal with. What makes it tough is if that is a red flag that I've associated with something in the past. That for me is a struggle to be able to deal with, because there's a learned behavior that comes with, this is how a situation went down in the past. This was the outcome the last time. I don't see a difference this time around. I need to obviously learn those differences. I need to learn different approaches to these kind of red flags, and I think that's part of my growth, to learn how to deal with these situations. But it's scary when you notice, I've seen this before, and you go into a panic.
Yeah. It's a rough ride, but I also think it's really beautiful. Like, no, it is. Just like being able to have these experiences, as rough as they are, like just being able to see the before and after, and being able to compare the two as well. I mean, that is the most telling sign of growth. And for me, that is my focus. Like every interaction, every relationship, every decision, every business transaction, everything that I do needs to add to my growth at this point.
Yeah.